Welcome to another deep dive. We're always uncovering these hidden forces that shape our world, and this one's a little different, a little unexpected. We're talking about beer, fire, pain, how these seemingly unconnected things have actually driven societal changes throughout history.
Yeah, it's kind of wild when you start peeling back the layers on these everyday things. Suddenly you're seeing these deep connections to our collective past.
Absolutely. And to guide us through this, we're taking a deep dive into a single book, which lays out a compelling case for these unseen forces. Now, full disclosure, it's one author's perspective, but we're here to break it down, pull out the juiciest bits, and see what they tell us about ourselves.
I like to think of it as a jumping off point, really. We're giving you the Spark Notes version, so you can take these ideas and run with them.
I love that analogy, the spark notes to set our brains on fire.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's start with something we're all familiar with, beer. I mean, who doesn't love a cold one after a long day, right? But did you know that back in ancient Sumeria, beer was more than just a drink, it was a big deal. Like, they even wrote beer rations into worker contracts.
It's true, hard to imagine now, right? But it just goes to show you how crucial beer was to everyday life. Clean water wasn't always easy to come by.
Right.
And the fermentation process actually made beer a safer alternative, especially in places like, medieval Europe. It really was essential, for survival.
It's less about, can you believe they put it in a work contract?
Mm.
And more about what that tells us about its value, right? I
Right.
mean, we're talking currency, social lubricant, even essential for survival. But this book goes deeper, pointing to this pattern of beer as a trust-building ritual across history.
Yeah, and there's a psychological reason for that. Alcohol, in moderation, of course, it can lower inhibitions, helps people loosen up, connect more easily. Think about those classic movie scenes in bars. It's often where friendships are formed, bonds are solidified.
Yeah. Which brings us to the whole craft beer movement we're seeing today.
Mm.
I mean, it's not just a trend, right? It's tapping into this ancient desire for authentic, shared experiences.
Totally. It's like this yearning for connection in an increasingly digital world, a return to the roots of brewing as this social, communal activity.
From ancient Sumerian breweries to today's microbreweries, seems like some things never really change. All right, ready to switch gears. From brews to blazes, time to explore the surprising influence of fire.
Yeah, I mean, beyond the obvious, right? It's more than just, keeping us warm and cooking our food. I mean, which, don't get me wrong, those are huge, but fire, it played this crucial role in human evolution itself.
It's true. I mean, think about it. Cooked food is easier to digest, which means more energy for our ancestors, potentially bigger brains.
Right, exactly. And then there's the whole social aspect too, right? Fire creates this natural gathering place, this kind of like focal point that brings people together.
It's true. I never thought about it that way, but it makes total sense. I mean, even today, sitting around a bonfire, it just draws people in.
It's primal, and this book even goes as far as to say that fire may have been, get this, a catalyst for language.
Whoa, really? A
Well,
catalyst for language? Like how?
well, think about it. You've got groups of people drawn together by this shared source of warmth and light. What are they going to do? They're going to interact, communicate, and over time, who knows, maybe that helps shape the development of language.
Wow, I mean, it's mind-blowing when you think about it like that. And the book also dives into the symbolic power of fire across different cultures,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. I mean, fire is this incredibly powerful force, right? It can be both destructive and life-giving. So it's no wonder that it has taken on these really profound meanings throughout history.
Right, right, like the eternal flame in Zoroastrianism or the Aztec use of pyres. It's fascinating how these symbolic meanings evolved alongside the practical uses. What do you think it is about fire that lends itself to these deeper meanings?
Well, I think for one, it's captivating. You see a fire, you can't help but to stare into it, right?
Yeah.
It's mesmerizing. And there's also this element of mystery to it, the way it dances and flickers. It's almost like it has a life of its own.
Yeah, definitely. It's almost hypnotic in a way.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how fire can be both this symbol of destruction, but also this symbol of purification, renewal, like it can cleanse and it can destroy.
Exactly. It's this duality, right, that makes it so powerful. And it's interesting to see how different cultures have interpreted and utilized that duality throughout history.
It's true. And speaking of powerful forces and duality,
Mm.
this book takes us down a path of exploring pain. Now, before you switch off, I know pain isn't exactly a fun topic, right?
Yeah.
But this book makes this really compelling argument that pain has played this crucial role in our development, pushing us to grow and adapt. and not just individually, but as a society.
Yeah, and that's something a lot of people don't really want to think about, right? Pain, no thanks. But it's true. Pain can be this incredible motivator. It can force us to confront our limits, to find new solutions, new ways of being.
Okay, but how does that actually work? How does pain lead to progress, to like cultural evolution?
Well, let's take your practice of scarification as an example.
Hmm.
The book talks about Maori tattoos, these incredibly intricate designs that are created through this really painful process. And these tattoos, they weren't just decoration, they were a testament to a person's strength and resilience. They were a badge of honor.
So like if you can endure that level of pain, you were proving something not just to yourself, but to your community as well.
Exactly. It was a way of showing that you could handle whatever life threw at you, that you were tough and capable. And it's not just physical pain either.
Right, right. Because there's emotional pain, there's mental pain.
Exactly. And this book delves into how different cultures have used pain as part of their spiritual practices, as a way to connect with something greater than themselves.
Right, like a test of faith almost.
Exactly. Like the sun dance, for example.
Yeah.
This was this really intense ritual practiced by some Native American tribes, and it involved, days of dancing, no food, no water, pushing themselves to their absolute limits.
Yeah, it sounds incredibly grueling
Yeah.
and painful. I mean, you can't dance for days without food or water and not experience some serious pain.
Exactly. But it was seen as this sacred ordeal, this way to prove their commitment to their tribe, to their beliefs.
It's interesting though, right, how pain in these examples, it's not something to be feared or avoided. If anything, it's like it's embraced,
Yeah.
as this pathway to something greater, whether that's proving your strength or connecting with the divine.
It's about transformation, right? Like you go through the fire, so to speak, and you come out changed, stronger, more resilient.
I like that, going through the fire. It's a powerful image. And it makes me think about this idea of growth mindset, how embracing challenges, even if they're painful, can ultimately lead to positive change. It's like pain can be this catalyst for growth, for change. And this book even ties it back to self-actualization, that whole top tier of Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Right. Maslow argued that, self-actualization, it's all about reaching your full potential, becoming the best, truest version of yourself. And this book suggests that pain, whether it's physical, emotional, intellectual, it can actually help us get there. It can be a catalyst on that journey.
It's like this idea that the tough experiences, the painful ones even, they can actually help us evolve, help us grow.
Exactly. It's about reframing our relationship with discomfort,
Yeah.
not seeing it as something to avoid, but as an opportunity to learn and to grow. And this book, it suggests that this willingness to confront pain, to actually learn from it, it's woven into the very fabric of human progress.
It's a pretty powerful way to look at it.
Mhm.
And, speaking of progress, this book, it doesn't just dwell on the past. It also connects these ancient practices to things that are happening right now, like the whole psychedelic renaissance.
Yeah.
It's almost like we're rediscovering something that's been there all along.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's this growing movement to re-examine substances like psilocybin, ayahuasca, and to really explore their therapeutic potential, especially for things like depression, anxiety, PTSD.
It's almost like a shift is happening, right? Where we're moving away from this knee-jerk reaction of like, oh, these substances are dangerous, they're taboo. And instead we're starting to see them, well, at least some of them, in a more nuanced light, recognizing that maybe, just maybe, they have something to offer.
Yeah, and this book argues that this shift, it's been a long time coming. It talks about all this research that's being done, showing that when these substances are used in the right way, in a safe and controlled setting, with the proper support and integration, they can be incredibly powerful tools for healing and for growth.
It's pretty remarkable when you think about it. These substances that have been, demonized for so long,
Yeah.
they might actually hold the key to helping people who are struggling with these really complex mental health conditions. It kind of makes you wonder what else is out there, what other potential breakthroughs are just waiting to be discovered.
Exactly. And that's what I love about this book. It's a reminder that our understanding of the world, it's always evolving, right? What we once thought was impossible or wrong or dangerous, it could be the key to unlocking something amazing. We just have to be open to exploring, to questioning.
Right, right. And speaking of questioning, this book, it doesn't shy away from potentially controversial topics either. Like it actually
Yeah.
delves into the role of masculinity in spiritual practices,
Yeah.
something that, that doesn't always get a lot of attention.
Yeah, the book argues that, for a long time, spirituality has been presented through this very feminine lens, right? It's all about compassion and empathy and nurturing, which are all incredibly important, don't get me wrong. But it suggests that this focus has maybe created a bit of an imbalance, that we've kind of neglected the masculine aspects of spirituality.
So it's about finding that balance,
Yeah.
right, between those masculine and feminine energies.
Exactly. It's not about saying one is better than the other, but that both are essential for a truly holistic and fulfilling spiritual life.
I like that. It's a good reminder that spirituality, it's not this one-size-fits-all thing, right? It's personal, it's individual. It's
Yeah.
about finding what resonates with you, what feels true to you.
Exactly. And this book, it encourages us to question those preconceived notions about what spirituality should look like and to embrace the full spectrum of our own individual paths.
Well, that feels like a perfect place to wrap things up, doesn't it?
Right.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, from beer to fire to pain, ancient rituals, modern trends. It's amazing how all these seemingly separate things, they're all interconnected, influencing our lives,
Yeah.
shaping the course of civilization.
It really makes you appreciate the complexity of the human experience, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And how these unseen forces, these things we often take for granted, they've played such a profound role in shaping who we are.
It's true. So as we wrap up this deep dive, is there one thing that you really hope our listeners take away from all of this?
That's a good question. I would say cultivate that sense of curiosity, Don't be afraid to question things, to explore different perspectives, to embrace the unknown. There's a whole world out there just waiting to be discovered.
I love that. To our listeners, keep exploring, keep asking those questions, and keep those deep dive fires burning.
I
Until
know,
next
it's-
time.